Yay! So much energy and joy.
Yay!
Yay!
I am happy to welcome today the Reverend Becca Stevens of Thistle Farms. She is here with some of her colleagues from Nashville to spend some time with us. We had the privilege last night of having a small group gathering of conversation about the things that are on our heart as it relates particularly to revival and what does that mean and different ways to discuss that. And so what we will do today is have an opportunity to hear from Becca to share more about her ministry. But before we begin, I'll offer a prayer. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. God of abundance, we are reminded that each day is a gift and an opportunity to offer ourselves, our souls and bodies into your love, your justice, and your peace. We give thanks for those throughout this world who are committed to the work of healing, something that all of us need in some way, in heart and in body and mind. Thank you for Thistle Farms. Thank you for Becca Stevens and her team. Be with us today as we reflect on love as a way of healing and learn and be encouraged and then discern what things we might do to help in the building up and the healing of your kingdom. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Please welcome Becca Stevens.
Timid applause at best. I'll take it. I don't know that this is gonna work.
Just push it back.
Yeah, I can't do that. I need to stay like right here for this.
So, just kind of in this
or can you just scoot it back a little bit? That feels like I'm done with Zoom. Just scoot me back so I can move around a little bit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you, Ollie. Thank you for having us. I'm privileged to be here today with so many friends who've come from Thistle Farms. Sheila and Kim, who are part of the leadership team, and I'm sure Sheila is going to want to explain a little bit about the national network and our residential services in just a little bit. But also Christy Beasley, who is an old school Memphian and Nashvilleian, who is here with us, and we're so grateful that she's going to help selling, because y'all know we're in the last push as a justice enterprise for all of our sales for the year. These are when we make the majority of our sales for the whole year. So to be here in November is a huge gift for us. So Christy's come to help us do some of those sales, and also Sheila's amazing daughter Brianna's with us. And thank you for being with us. It's beautiful to have the youth of America in our presence. I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about what does it mean to lead with love. We are a church community. We are a community that wants to have an impact on the wider community, on the marketplace, on the culture in the world. So how do we do that and lead with love is what I've been thinking about some this fall. And I was thinking about my own evolution and what love means. And I don't know about you guys, but during COVID, I cleaned out a lot of drawers I'd never cleaned out before. I mean, decades. We've been living in the same house for 27 years. Anyway, I found in this one drawer a love letter I'd written to my husband. We've been dating 6 months. We were both at Vanderbilt Divinity School. And in the letter, I wrote, "We've been through so much."
In 6 months.
Yeah, in 6 months, at 24 years old, I had been through so much with him. And I was laughing about how this idea of what a love letter is. And truly, even Gustavo Gutierrez, when I heard him speak at Vanderbilt years ago, who is really one of the founders of liberation theology, talks about our life being a love letter to God. But the truth is that the love letter you might write at 18 might not be the same love letter you write at 50. It might look a little bit different, right? And it may be inappropriate to write the same letter at 50 that you wrote at 18. And the idea is that it's the same love expressed in really different ways that seem to be relevant, that seem to be practical, that seem to actually be healing. It doesn't always look the same. For example, at Thistle Farms, when someone who is just new to the community, the most honored person in the community, which is the most recent person coming into the community, what love looks like might be a beautiful basket and a small stipend and a safe bed. And to provide that with grace, without judgment, that is loving. A year down the road, it may look like an attorney to help with expungement. It might look like access to a good dentist and to have a whole group of therapists that are working on mental health and physical health and doing that kind of care. Maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, it looks like a retirement fund and vacation package that is decent as part of a job. That the love that we share and that what it looks like changes. But that the idea is that we lead with it. Also, in my evolution on this, I don't know about y'all, but it's like I've gone through the whole thing. Do y'all remember the whole thing of servant leadership? That was the whole thing. And if you have a history of trauma, especially early trauma, my memory of sexual abuse started at 6 years old. And when you have that history, authority can be a big trigger. And so servant leadership might not be the best model for your love letter. Does that make sense? That something more equitable, something more back and forth might be a lot better. And then, you know, you have like there's a whole bunch. You remember Dare to Lead and this whole brave leadership. It's all the whole journey of Brene Brown. And that doesn't always feel right to me because I feel like that what I want is, again, something that feels freer and more humble, not like, you know, you're making everybody go even if they don't really want to go there, but it's more invitational. And I went through a part of probably several years of creative leadership, or if we just went where the Spirit was leading and we found that beautiful place where we could thrive in the world. But I ended up, you know, being in the space for a couple of years and not feeling that inspired by what I was doing, so I couldn't have inspired leadership. You know, and I've told that story many, many times about learning that if I could just work through not being inspired, I could trust in love, the Spirit would come and help us keep going. So I've been playing around with what does it mean just to say love leadership? What does that look like for us? How do we do it? What does it mean? How do you get where it doesn't feel kind of Pollyannic or messy, but grounded and brave? And to bring it into outside the church, because, you know, I mean, y'all remember we all learned C.S. Lewis's notion of the 4 kinds of love, which is, as soon as you read it, you know, it's almost just ridiculous because there's a million kinds of love. There's as many kinds of love as in this room. But sometimes we relegate it to the idea of it has to be spiritual or it has to be intimate in friendship or, you know, these expressions of it where love is a force. We forget that part of it. It's the soul force that changes marketplaces, workforces, that changes culture and laws, that love is a force. And when we lead with love and say it's not going to be relegated just to our spiritual communities or our more intimate one-on-one relationships, how do we tap into that to lead with it to help change it? I believe with my whole heart that part of why Thistle Farms has done well is that we have stamped Love Heals on the product. That people in a Whole Foods are drawn to that. And that if we are willing to put that out there, then we can understand that people are going to be drawn to it because people want to hope. People want to be a part of a love movement. People want to feel like, oh my gosh, this is something that has real depth and meaning to it. When we lead with love, I believe it changes how we do the work in the field too. If I'm saying I'm leading with love, I don't want to build really shoddy shelters. I want to build something worthy of love. You know, it's part of how we raise our children in love dictates how we parent, right? So what does it look like to lead with love in our work? How does it change our market forces and workplaces? I can give you an example of it, is that it is serving, brave, all of those other leaderships, but it's done in this way that is roots us in an eternal truth, that it's so much more and not about us. That leadership becomes not about us. So, for example, do y'all know the story in the gospel where the woman from the streets who is suffering comes in and she pours oil over Jesus' feet, and how awkward that whole situation was? I mean, when you read it, you feel the awkwardness of it and the messiness of it. And everybody knows if you pour a bottle of oil on someone's feet, it doesn't stay on the top of their feet, it goes everywhere. And of course, you're going to start trying to mop it up and bring, put it, get it cleaned up. And how, when everybody's watching it, it looks a little bit awkward. And that really has been a touchstone. When we were up at Canoga, we did a whole workshop on oils. But the touchstone for me is always about, surely we can't believe that healing is not a little bit messy and intimate. So if we're talking about love and in relationships, while you're doing everything respectfully and with the best intention, it also is you have to be prepared to be a little bit messy and intimate. And that's what I think is important for how it's changed the workplace at Thistle Farms, is that we're not afraid to be messy and intimate because we ground ourselves in love. If we didn't ground ourselves in love, it would be horrific and we would have broken up a long time ago. Can I get an amen from the back table? Yes. But because we love each other, we stay through the messiness, intimacy part of it. And that's, we keep getting more as we're growing at Thistle Farms, which is great, and thriving. I keep saying, please, please, don't abandon love. I think it's Thoreau that says, every time we lose a notch of truth, another institution grows. That the bigger you get, the scary part is thinking we get more institutional and distance ourselves from that core of what love is. So if you lead in love and you grow a powerful community that's growing and thriving, but you have to keep love at the center of it. When we lose that and we go straight to committee, which, was it you that said, I'm not a committee guy? Thank God, right? I mean, the whole idea is without love, a committee is where the spirit goes to die. And if there's love present in that community and in that committee meeting, it means there's life in there and we change how we do it. That's why we always, I think, that's why you add ritual and joy and music, is to keep that feeling of love alive, even in the midst of doing some of the committee work. So, I was telling the group last night that in August, a group of 7 of us went to Poland. We had been contacted by a group of women in Ukraine who were knitters, and I have been knitting like crazy for a few years on the road, so it felt like a godsend to me. And I knit every stitch right now thinking about all the women and kids and folks in Ukraine. And they said, there was a group of women who had all been displaced from eastern Ukraine. Some of them had been storekeepers and math teachers, one of them. A gas operator. She was the person that helped regulate the gas coming from Russia into eastern Ukraine. She ran one of those. She tells a story about 15 hours of being held hostage and what it was like to escape. And she had to escape through Russia to get to Kiev, and other people in Lviv, and just the story. So we got a grant. We went in August, and we started a group called Love Risers. And it's all Ukrainian knitters. The woman that organizes it from Ukraine, who's this amazing entrepreneur named Marina, who just is full of love. She is full of love and joy in the spite of horrific circumstances, including her partner of 5 years was just killed in August of this year in eastern Ukraine. And they all came to Poland, and they were knitting, and we were designing products, and we were telling stories, and they wept, they organized, they do what has been proven out 1,000 times, and all the data reminds us that when we invest in women, we do heal communities. That one of the most loving things you can do to care for children, school systems, environment, anything, is to invest in small groups of women who help change communities. It's just, the data proves it out, including the State Department. Invest in women, heal communities. Rape women, kill communities. Anyway, they're telling these stories, and finally Marina sets down the knitting, and she stands up and she starts singing in a Ukrainian song, and it has like this pulsating, beautiful rhythm to it. And pretty soon, the other women from her group are singing along, and they have their hands like this. And I look over, and one of the women that is on the trip with me is Regina, who has just celebrated 27 years clean. She was one of the very first 5 women who ever came into Thistle Farms. She was, the outreach director. She was one of the managers for residential programs. She went on to get married and have her own consulting firm. I've never gone on a trip overseas to start a new community without Regina, because her infectious spirit is basically all you need, because she is love. She leads with love. She comes like this, hi, like that, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, I love her. Yes, I will do whatever. I will definitely knit. I will do all this. Anyway, I look over as the women are singing in Ukrainian like this, and Regina's going like this, just singing like just any words and doing this. And I looked at her and I said, Regina, you don't even know what they're saying. And she said, I know what side I'm on. I know what side I'm on. That's leading with love, to know what side you're on, right? And to say, yes, these women knitting down in a bunker who want to believe and hope, I'm on their side. And I'll raise my hand and I'll sing along. And it took about 2 seconds for all of us to go, like whatever y'all are doing, I'm there with you. That's the image I want us to have. Also, we only have 2 of these blankets. Look. This one is called Horizons. So we have 3 styles. We only have this to the back side. Isn't it beautiful? Wait, there's Marina. There's Marina. Anyway, these blankets, we have 2 of them. That's all we have. And we want to sell 2 of these blankets, and for you to have that as a spiritual discipline about all through this winter, to wrap yourselves in it or to offer it to somebody with a story. Because what the Ukrainian women knitters want us to do is, one, is understand how important it is for the dignity of work. That if they can knit those blankets, they have a dignity of work, which is critical for survival. Second thing is about the quality of work. They want you to understand about the importance of the quality of work. And if you buy a blanket, how you can say, share the story of how beautifully Ukrainian women take pride in what they make and how they make it. And of course, the third thing is to say that when we say love rises and we knit, we're sharing a story of hope, and hope is what is keeping them alive. While they're down there, they're developing packets for kids to go to school underground in bunkers. They're knitting. We just made a commitment to hire 3 more knitters. We're going to keep growing it and doing it as long as we can. So that's that part. But the whole point of that for me is when we lead with love, we remember what side we are on. And then the last thing, and then I'll open it up. I'm sorry. Have I talked too long already? We'll open it up, and I want Sheila to come and talk, and then I want us to have a conversation. But the last thing that I wanted to say about leading with love is that it is a lifelong commitment. Part of the reason I think Thistle Farms, again, has done well is that we stay a very, very long time. It's not a 3-month program or 60 days. I mean, that's 60 days, 30 days, 28 days, 21 days. But it's not just 2 years, but all of us have dedicated our lives to this work and this ministry. They say one of the most loving things you can do in your old age is plant a tree, because you'll never see the beauty of the canopy, that it is this act of love. And I think in leading with love, it's not grassroots, it's tree roots. That's what we're doing. And that means that people can trust that they can leave the circle, they can leave this church, they can come back, it will be here. That's how you lead with love. It's that long-term consistency. And for me, sometimes I think, oh my gosh, you know, I've spent my whole career as a chaplain. I haven't gone on to be a rector or a dean or a bishop or anything. I've stayed a chaplain. But I know that that was my calling, because I want to lead with love. And for me, what it meant was just continuing to serve the community of Thistle Farms. And that was the best way I could show my love for the community, was to stay. And so I know that sometimes all of us are in this world where we think we have to move on and get bigger. You know, if you're a rector, then you need to be a dean. If you're a dean, you need to be the Archbishop of Canterbury, whatever. And sometimes love says something else. Sometimes leading with love says, you know, go deeper. Just go deeper. The way that we remember where we are and how we love for Thistle Farms has been the candles, and we light the candle every week. And I'm proud to say that that candle never went out through COVID. We kept going. It didn't go out through the floods. It doesn't go out, you know, we keep a candle lit for the woman on the street, the woman trying to find her way home. And I would submit to you, if you want to reflect more on this idea about leading in love, one of the exercises that we do is daily practices at Thistle Farms. Is everybody has these daily meditations and practices they do, whether it's their recovery work or however it looks like for you in your life. But this Advent, you might try lighting a Thistle Farms candle every day. It has 36 hours of burning, so you know if you've done your meditation, if you have any candle left by the end of Advent. But it's not the 4 candles, it's just 4 candles in one, basically. But the idea would be to have that set time during the season coming up for real reflection and to go deeper, to see where it is that love is calling you. Thank you. Yay! Y'all are just, you clap quiet, but I was going to get Sheila first before we open it up. Just say whatever you want. Perfect. That's cool. I'm scared of him.
I'm Sheila. I'm the director of a residential program at Thistle Farms. I'm also a 2007 graduate.
She's the best. For real, she's the best, y'all. Let's do a really big applause, not like the choir.
No, seriously. So, For anyone who's not familiar, we're a 2-year cost-free long-term residential program. In the last 10 years, we've been able to expand our continuum of care. And so in 2013, we were able to create a program inside the prison called Thistle on the Inside. And so that's taking psychoeducational groups and a therapist inside so that the women's healing process starts while they're in prison, and then they transition out into our program. In 2020, we opened up our first safe house, and that's a 30-day crisis stabilization program, and then that gives them an opportunity to decide whether or not they would like short or long-term care. If they prefer long-term and we don't have a bed available, then we reach out to our national network. And so currently, right now, we have 94 organizations across the country that are modeling our program. 57 of them are actually open. We have over 550 beds across the country that are modeling our program. And so we use that as a referral source for the over 300 people that are on our waiting list at this time. Yeah. And so, do y'all have any questions? All right. Or discussion.
I have the money.
Thank you, Sheila.
All right.
You're awesome.
I have a question. What factors are restraining you from adding more services? Is it just money? Is it person power?
Oh my God, I love it you say, is it just money? Yeah, it's no big deal. You just need to raise $6 more million a year. Is it just money? Yes, it's just money.
Okay.
I mean, it's not just money, but also we are purposely growing. Part of the way that you grow in love and lead with love is, do it with intention and
best practice.
yes.
And best practice. And so we're creating a strategic plan right now to expand the work that we do, but we want to ensure that we're using best practice. And so our next steps is to create a mobile drop-in center that's using more of a harm reduction approach. Then we're also going to open up a home for trans women. And so that's our next phase out of expanding our continuum of care.
And that's just in Nashville, but we also have an expansion and continuum of care through the national network and through the global shared trade program. So the idea is to grow locally, grow nationally, and then grow with our sister partners all over the world. This year, we're growing in Kenya, in Botswana, and Nepal are the 3 areas that we're focusing on, that we have sister communities already there. We just need to invest. So I just wrote a grant and got it. I can't believe it. I mean, isn't it weird when, anyway, we'll be able to build out some programs and structures in those 3 places, which I'm super happy about. But yes, it's just money. You don't raise money, right?
I have no history in that.
That's like what people say to me sometimes, sweetly, is they'll say, besides donating or buying products, what can we do? And I'm like, well, first do that. We make our way by selling products. Y'all realize that it's not just about raising money. We have to sell products. If we don't sell products, there are no jobs. If you've lost the exercise about the dignity of work, the quality of work, and the hope in work, if we don't do that. So selling products is a harder, better way to raise money to ensure the next woman can come off the streets. So I always think all the people who said that Thistle Farms inspires them, and then they go buy their soap at Target, it's like, stop. Everybody in here uses soap, buy our soap. And I will say that we have sister communities represented over here, and I just want to highlight a couple of them. This is Heinz Honey from Baltimore that has bath products. The bath soaps, $9. Who doesn't need that? These are all the healing oil kits, amazing group of women in Ecuador. This is all, y'all have had this tea before, all the tea from Mexico. It's a hibiscus blend with moringa that it's the fountain of youth, says the New York Times, which is why I, at 120, look like this.
Will you talk a little bit about Thistle and Bee locally here? I'm assuming it's one of the 94.
Thistle and Bee?
Yes, but I don't want to be the one to speak on it. Who wants to speak on Thistle and Bee? I think you're going to have to ask people at Thistle and Bee about how to. I don't want to speak on behalf of any program. I can say that they are a beautiful part of the community, and they have come together at conferences. The leadership has been a part of our community for a long time. They do both the Justice Enterprise. They partner with Claire's House and other places, I believe, for their housing now.
And then we refer to them too. We have referred quite a few of our people on our waiting list to their program.
You need to come up here if you're going to talk so they can hear you. No, I want you to come up here. I'm just saying, I think it seems like there's a ghost in the room. Yes, but I would think, yeah, do you want to speak on Thistle and Bee?
I do not.
Oh, I thought you were, okay.
I have a question that when you're ready.
I'm ready.
I was going to ask more for you all and any of the other women that are here with Thistle Farms to talk about love leadership and making that incarnational in the world, here in Memphis, in Nashville, in Kenya, all over. We can buy wonderful tea and honey and use oils. But if we leave here today, what would you want to send us out with? Doing, challenged with, being encouraged by, you name it.
I would say, you're like my husband, just tell me what you want. He's like, this will go a lot quicker if you just tell me what you want. I mean, I'm like, I think it's a really good tactic because then you feel kind of shy. But what I want, and anybody, Kim or Sheila, you can speak to what it is. It's pretty easy for me. One is to say, this is a movement for women's healing that is vertically integrated globally. So you can be assured that all of our small acts are making a difference. And when we do those small acts in love, it changes laws, it changes culture, it changes community. So you can feel inspired, like it is working, it is making a difference. Women recover forever. They change generations of dysfunction and abuse, and it is a gift. So that's the one I want you to feel inspired, like with breath, to go back out to say, like, we can trust that things are getting better and changing within within communities. That's good news, right? Part of the proclamation is to be about good news, is what we do. We proclaim good news, right? So that's part of what I want you to do, is be proclaimers of the good news. The other thing is that we don't have a huge marketing budget. We want you to be, social media advocates. We want you to be allies. We want you to be part of educating a wider community. We're in here, you go out and you do that work. So you preach about it. Not about Thistle Farms, not about Thistle and Bee, but about how it is that women end up on the street and how women heal. You preach about how it is the markers, the ACEs, the abuse that we do on our young women that pave a red carpet for women to end up on the streets, where we then in turn imprison them. You have to preach that. You have to go do that. So basically the idea of inspired, the idea of advocacy, the idea of, I want you to leave here with us in your hearts. One, Nicholas Hitamana, he is the director of Ikarizi in Rwanda, our very first global partner that makes the amazing bug spray that's now in Whole Foods, because it is the most effective natural bug spray you can buy. You're welcome. And he says this: friendship first. If we want to be in partnership, if we want to do this work, it has to be friendship first. We can't have, just a memorandum of understanding if somebody signs it or not. That doesn't define the relationship. It's really a friendship first model that we know what's happening with one another. So for me, it's about kind of a long-term idea that we're going to understand each other's story and follow each other along the way. We get invited to a lot of places. We never hardly get invited back. The idea that Ollie invited us back, that's an idea of friendship first, that we're developing a story with you, that we are part of this community, that we can serve one another. That I'm wanting Ollie to come to New York. If my husband's play is on Broadway next fall, it's like, come on, come up there, let's go play, because of his amazing voice training and singing. I want to be friends. This is my life. I want to be friends. That's the truth. That's what I want.
I want something different. I do.
In addition, it doesn't have to be different.
Yeah, in addition. Definitely. In addition, if anyone feels called to do the work, I would love to sit down and have a bigger conversation about a community in Memphis going into the prison and inning and starting the work inside the prison so that they could transition to a program here in Memphis or transitioning to our program in Nashville. Because it's hard because we're so many hours away to be able to actually do the work. And so we do a lot of letter writing, but it's not like that one-on-one and that being able to give them a hug, you know what I mean? And letting them know that they're loved. And then taking in some life skills, maybe taking a therapist in and letting their healing start in the prison. There's an opportunity for a bigger kind of collaboration. If anyone feels called to do the work, I'd love to talk further after this.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other ideas?
Morning. I just wanted to say I got to spend some time with some of your ladies a week ago, and while their stories were all very heartbreaking, I felt this hope that was insatiable that they all had, and they were all looking forward to the future, and it was really, really incredible what the stories they had, what they've come through, and how upbeat and happy they seem to be and moving forward. So I just want to give you a congratulations. It was really, really nice to get to talk to them and hear their stories and just really listen to the fact that they all have hope. They're all looking forward to the next chapter in their lives. So
Awesome.
Thanks for all you do.
Yay, that's good news. Did you buy products? I said, that is great. Did you buy any products?
I wasn't an opportunity then, but I will today.
Yes, good. That's what we need, to feel inspired and then translate that to gifts, because I think it's something like 70% of the products people buy are gifted to other people, and so they become our evangelical tool. I mean, that's really, it is our evangelical tool that somebody in Wisconsin goes, oh, my sister from Memphis gave me this at Christmas, and I've been a fan ever since. And it's like, whoo, that's awesome. Any last thoughts, or do we just want to shop now? We're just so anxious. Let me close with this then, that one of my mentors and dearest friends, a Catholic priest in Nashville, named Charlie Strobel, who started Room in the Inn in Nashville years ago, who has been very sick for a few years. He said to me early on, remember, people don't have to be nice to you. And I thought, well, why is he saying that? And then I realized that it surely makes you grateful when you realize people don't have to be nice to you, and people just love you and are part of your life. And it really has changed how I do this work, with the expectation of sheer gratitude and joy when people have been nice to us. And we are so grateful for how nice Grace St. Luke's has been over the years, and the welcome and the kindness you've shown towards Thistle and Bee and Thistle Farms and all the other places. And you don't have to be that way. You are that way because you are love and you are leading. And so I hope in this next season it continues to be fruitful. And thank you for being nice to us.
And we invite everybody to move on over to the table and look at some good items to purchase. Just going off and on.
If you can't afford, you still work out.
There you go. Thanks, Jack.